What up, y'all? Welcome back. OTB every Tuesday at 9:30. We talk to the man who knows the New Orleans Saints, and that is our guy, Nick Underhill, at Nick_Underhill. New Orleans football is a site well worth the sign up. And again, this is Nick's own endeavor, okay? So if you sign up for New Orleans football, not only do you get the best insight to Saints football with the best articles, the best breakdowns of schemes and whatnot, but you also support Nick directly. There's no advertising, no corporate overlords or anything. It all goes to helping Nick churn out incredible work. Nick, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well, man. Okay, so I've got a bit of a hair up my booty, if you will, and I'm convincing myself. I'm convincing myself that Jameis Winston's career trajectory is following almost exactly that of Drew Brees. I looked at the first 5 years last week. I think through 5 years in the NFL, Brees had a 1.5 touchdown to pick ratio. That's Jameis Winston through 5 years in the NFL, 1.35, right? Now, Brees had two different coaches. He didn't play his rookie year. Jameis played his rookie year, had to start the entire thing, and had three different coaches. And yet they're still pretty close. I think Winston actually had a slightly higher quarterback rating. In fact, Winston threw for significantly more yards. He's been NFL passing leader, Rookie of the Year, Pro Bowler, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. Why is Winston coming to New Orleans and joining Sean Payton? Why is that so different from Brees leaving San Diego after 5 years and joining Sean Payton in New Orleans?
Well, first, I think it's a really high bar to make that Brees comparison because we're talking about him going from not starting last year to being a top 10 quarterback of all time, which is a steep trajectory, and it's probably a little bit unfair to hold anyone to that standard. But I do agree with you that there are similarities to their stories, and that the one thing that gets grossly underrated is Sean Payton, and he's the X factor here, and he's going to find a way to get him in the right system and put him in his position to succeed. He's going to ask him to do too much, which I think was the issue with Bruce Arians. You take a guy, and if you watch Hard Knock seasons, the Bucks were on there. Cutter's biggest thing with Jameis was trying to rein him in, and then Arians comes in and does the exact opposite, and now you're accentuating the problems instead of finding ways to fix them, and that's how you create a 30-pick season. And I think it's pretty unfair for any of us to actually look at that season, the 30-pick season, and that be the thing that we frame the conversation about Jameis Winston around, because it is an extreme outlier on his Pro Football Reference page. It's 12 picks, 17 picks, 30. And for some reason, we talk about the 30 picks as if that's what he does every year. And I don't think that's what he's working against. I think that year was extremely out of character. And Payton will put him in a system where he's not going to be asked to do all that stuff. And I think the biggest issue for Jameis is finding a way to rein that in without being scared to make mistakes. And I think that's the thing that Payton's going to have to figure out with him is how to make sure that he can do the things that made Brees great while still doing the things that made Jameis great and still being Jameis, but not being a guy that makes bad decisions. And I think there is a way to figure that out. And if they do figure it out, this is a guy, former number one pick. I think physically he's a top 10 for sure guy in the NFL as far as, I hate using the phrase, but I'm going to use it, arm talent and all the things he can do. He can make every throw. He just needs to see the field better and make those decisions and rein it in. And I think they'll find a way to do some of that. I think he's going to be better than he ever has at any point. And I truly do believe that. It's just getting in that system with that stability and being comfortable within it. And that is the Sean Payton factor. And I think that's the thing that benefited Brees probably as much as anything. And, he did it with Tony Romo in Dallas. He found a way to make him extremely successful. So, that's the one thing that I feel like has really, really been overlooked is the creativity of this coach, his track record with other quarterbacks, and, just setting up a system. And might not get the Brees level, but I do think Jameis is going to be really good.
Well, Nick, it does feel like he is having the offseason that he would want to, as far as organically it feels like the team believes he is the starting quarterback. We talked about it with the LSU quarterback battle. You're going to know as a team and a coaching staff before the public knows, and it does feel like the team almost assumes that it's going to be Jameis and he's doing the right things in the offseason. Do you kind of have that feel as well?
Yeah, I think they're definitely 100% rallying behind him, and there's been a lot of comments from different players, and it's like you said, they know before anybody else. There's been a few things that I've heard people say that have kind of made me go like, oh wow, like is this a little bit more decided than I think we know. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson the other day called him QB1. Cam Jordan talks about him in that sense. Mickey Loomis did a radio interview recently, and he was talking about Taysom as an H-back and a tight end and a fullback and everything else but a quarterback. It's just like, wow, that's a little bit interesting that you're talking about it that way. I do think that there is going to be a battle, and I think it'll be, Taysom will have a legitimate chance to go in there and compete and show if he's found a way to speed up his decision making. I know Jameis is living on social media, so we see his step-by-step ascension throughout the offseason. Taysom has quietly been working on getting his footwork better, and he says the thing that made him a little bit slow last year was the feet, not necessarily his processing, but his feet weren't in the right position to deliver the ball when he saw something, so it would take longer. So hey, maybe he cleans that up and he can get the ball out quicker, and it's a little bit more viable to an NFL offense. But yeah, I mean, I definitely get the sense that it's Jameis's job to lose. I think again, Payton will always give Taysom a chance, and he'll have a chance to go in there and do his thing. And I think you have to give him that chance just to keep him in it, because if you want him to do other things, I don't think you can take the quarterback thing away from him until someone takes it from him. And if Jameis takes it from him, I think it's a lot easier to get Taysom to settle into these other roles and to contribute to the team in all the ways that he did while Breeze was there. But if you just tell him, hey, this is over, I don't know if he buys in the same way. I think he has to have his eyes open to it a little bit. And if that happens, it's not the worst thing for the team. I don't think it's the worst thing for Taysom either if he were to embrace the other role if he loses his job, because I think he has a really good way to contribute to a team and stay in the league for a long time in this other capacity if it isn't quarterback. But just for the sake of him, I think he has to have that chance to win the job.
So, look, I think you're spot on in terms of human nature. I guess the kind of a-hole side of me is like, Taysom, you were paid very well. Like, you should be all in no matter what they're asking you to do. Somebody else you mentioned in that answer, Nick, CD Deuce. What is – and he's someone that obviously we love him because – like some of the legends surrounding him, right? He is a bit of a fan favorite for his antics, but he's like become a really good player as well. What is his role in this secondary where they do have some question marks?
Well, I think he's ascending too, and a great stat the other day. I'm not going to be able to recall it off the top of my head, but he was like at the top 5 in the league in passer rating against it, and he'd gotten thrown at more than anybody, or he was a top 5 guy in the slot in terms of targets. And he kept that passer rating really low. And, that was an illuminating stat for me, because I think one of the things that I thought about him is like, he covers really well, but he gives some stuff up. And it's never really anything damaging, but he gets thrown at an incredibly high amount of times and really holds his own. And I think he's going to get better because, he's someone that was playing off instinct a lot earlier in his career. And I think last year it started to click for him, and he started to understand what he was doing, why he was doing it, which allows you to stay within your role, and it makes everybody else around you better because they don't have to cover up any of the stuff you're doing, and they can worry about what they're supposed to do. And I think as he continues to grasp everything and get a better understanding of that, he's going to keep getting better. And, I think one of the things with him is every now and then a run fit will be offered or something like that. And if he picks that stuff up, he's just going to become a more solid player and continue to get a lot better. And, I think he's a very important part of this team this year. I think he has to make that growth because of the uncertainty at the other cornerback position. And I think everybody in the secondary just needs to be just a little bit stronger than they were last year to help cover that up no matter how it goes. Now, I do still think that there's a chance that they're working the phones hard trying to find out who's available. I think the possibility of a trade is something that remains alive. And, I think maybe some of the inactivity at that spot, the other outside cornerback spot, as far as free agents, is just finding out who's actually available, if anybody's out there for trade. And then if they aren't, I think maybe then you move into, okay, we'll sign one of these guys and bring them in and see how that goes. But I don't think that they're done at cornerback yet. Okay. And there's a chance that they could get somebody. But, either way, I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's at a point now where he's third-year player, and I think he's going to be, a big part of their plans in the secondary now going into the future. And, he is on the right track to keep getting better.
Well, Nick, you're so locked in that you actually answered the last question that I had, which is about will they do something at cornerback? Seeming like they still will. Nick, thank you so much, man. Nick_Underhill. NewOrleans.football is the site. Go sign up for it. It is so worth it. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right, coming up next, Ask the Bench. Brought to you by Cole Coors Light. Keep it locked right here, OTB.
OTB, OT.